The phone rang at 3:07 a.m. It always rang after 3. She did not flinch. She never did. A small lamp carved a circle of yellow light into the darkness of her apartment. Inside that circle lay a notebook and a pen. A fresh page. Always a fresh page. She picked up on the third ring. "Hello?" Her voice was level. Warm, but not intimate. Close, but never close enough. On the other end, breathing, uneven, fractured. They always breathed like that at first, as if the air itself resisted entering their lungs, as if speaking might make everything irreversible. She never asked their names, and she never gave hers. People called her when they no longer wanted to live. They called from kitchens lit by refrigerator light, from cars parked in empty lots, from bathrooms where the mirror had already been covered. They called when the world had narrowed into a single thought, a single possibility. "Are you certain?" she would ask gently. Not accusing, not challenging, just placing the question between them like a fragile object. They would begin to talk about betrayals that hollowed them out, about debts that felt like chains, about children they believed deserved better parents, about lovers who had left and taken the future with them. Sometimes the stories were loud with grief. Sometimes they were frighteningly calm. The calm ones were the hardest. The calm ones had already rehearsed goodbye in their heads. She did not argue. She did not preach hope. Hope, offered too early, sounds like a lie. Instead, she asked questions. When did it start feeling this heavy? What does the silence in your room sound like? If someone were sitting beside you right now, what would you want them to understand? She guided them carefully, not away from the edge, but toward clarity, toward the place where pain had a shape instead of a fog. Some callers trembled as they spoke, unraveling years of swallowed words. With every sentence, their breathing would shift, not steady, not safe, but different. Others remained distant, detached, their voices smooth as glass. She listened to them all. On the corner of her notebook page, she would draw a tiny mark when the line finally went dead. A small circle. The circle meant a witness, not a success, not a failure, just a witness. You might think she helped them leave this world. The truth was murkier than that. She helped them stand at the threshold and look into what they were choosing. Sometimes the abyss frightened them. Sometimes it reflected back a memory they had forgotten. A dog waiting at home, a sister who still sent birthday messages, a half-finished painting in the attic. And sometimes there was nothing reflected back at all. Those were the calls that lingered in her apartment long after the line went silent. She never followed up, never searched headlines, never checked obituaries. To know would have broken the fragile neutrality she required to answer the next call. Because the phone always rang again. At 3:12 a.m., at 4:01, at 2:59, just before the hour turned and the night felt deepest. Each voice believed they were alone in their suffering. Each voice was wrong. One afternoon, the phone rang in daylight. Sunlight filled the apartment, exposing dust in the air. The notebook lay closed. The lamp was off. She hesitated before answering. "Hello?" There was breathing on the other end. Unsteady, familiar. She listened, and then she understood. The pauses matched her own. The exhaustion matched her own. the careful detachment, hers. The voice spoke about emptiness, about being necessary to others but invisible, about carrying stories that were never hers to carry. Her hand trembled for the first time. "Are you certain?" she asked automatically. Silence. Not from the caller, from herself. In that silence, she felt the weight of every conversation she had absorbed. Every whispered despair pressed against her chest like fingerprints. She realized something then. She had been a bridge for so many people standing over darkness. But bridges crack. And no one had asked her the questions she asked others. "When did it start feeling this heavy? What does the silence in your room sound like? If someone were sitting beside you right now, what would you want them to understand?" Her own breathing filled the room. The line clicked. Not disconnected, just waiting. She closed her eyes. "I'm not certain," she said at last. The confession felt like stepping back from an unseen edge. When the call ended, she did not draw a circle. Instead, she turned the page. The phone rang again that night, as it always did. She looked at it for a long moment. The yellow lamp glowed. The darkness pressed close. Then she reached for the receiver. "Hello?" And this time, her voice carried something new. Not hope, not despair, but the fragile understanding that being heard is sometimes the only thing standing between a thought and a decision.